I'm JJ, I'm Head of Product Design at Bellroy.
And I'm Pip, I'm the Product Development Manager. It's just really exciting that we can take everything that we've learned over the last almost 15 years and that really culminates into a product like luggage. I think really the first time doing anything, there's lots of new learnings. For us, it was a lot of work with the design team, getting all the surfacing just right and then balancing that out with the engineering requirements and the kind of hard requirements of the product.
We put a lot into the surfacing and the shaping of this, making sure that we had all of those lines just right. We have all of these like mini prints of tiny pieces of luggage, an untold number of renderings and little mock-ups, and then actually building that form into something that was distinctive and interesting, but not so distinctive that you didn't want to engage with it. Replaceability of components was a big focus of us. We also wanted to make it that it was user replaceable. So you didn't have to send it to a repair center to get the parts bolted on by someone else and then have the piece sent back. We simplified a lot of the elements of the design and made it quite intuitive. 3.1 kilograms. Was it hard? Yes. Is it hard to get it below 3 kilos? Yes.
Nearly every single component we've engineered from the ground up, aside from the wheels, which we're getting from Hinomoto. All the others, we've been kind of really diving into looking at everything to kind of keep the weight down, but also keep them durable and long-lasting. So when we're looking at the shell, we did a lot of work on the material to try and find the balance between performance and then trying to work in the recycled materials as well, which is such a big part of what we do at Bellroy. So it's a composite material, and we've been able to have two parts to it. So there's an 80% recycled component, and then the color and the performance of that outer skin is really important. That's where there's a 20% non-recycled skin on there, but we're really pleased that we're able to get majority recycled material into the shell. And then just in terms of sculpting this, design did so much work on the CAD sculpting, and then we had a big part of maintaining that design intent while bringing it into something that is manufacturable as well.
If you go onto TikTok and you just search luggage fails, you find so many examples, and particularly like when you start looking for luggage cracking. So it was something where we just did this pretty organic kind of search for like where were the fail points. Out on the outer corners, there was a lot that was, you'd see like cracks and other elements through those zones there. There were also long straight edge cracks down along the outer radius of that back corner and that front corner. And what we found was happening was the way that the plastic is made, it's like a sheet, then you heat the sheet and you slam a piece of metal into the base of it and you suck it down. It's like spreading a piece of pastry over something. So you end up with these thinner zones up out at the extremities, and particularly like the longer the drawer is, the more material you're kind of stretching down. So you end up with like the thinnest point actually being up and out on those outer edges. So the insight was, how about we knock those edges off and we actually just change the shaping profile up through this zone so that the point that normally cops the impact first is actually dispersed and pushed around the case rather than being on a focus area. And then additionally, like the shaping on the back, you know, this little like divot section, what we've done on both the front and the back is being able to stop big scratches right across the case, just because we got these little raised bits up. Oh, handles.
I think handles, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to jump on that?
Sure, I can jump on the handles.
Physically, yeah, totally. Yeah. They're strong. We got to put ourselves to the test.
So with the handle, it's been really that balance with JJ and a lot of back and forth in getting the feel of the handle, the usability of the handle working really well, but then also down to each one of these components inside and minimizing noise, making sure that's a really smooth, free-running component.
So often you'll see on luggage that they'll have a plastic tray on the exterior and the bars pass onto the interior of the luggage. We've put ours to the outside. So there's a couple of reasons, but one of the main ones was that we could actually save quite a bit of weight through this superfluous piece that's up top. When we looked at it, it wasn't increasing any strength, it was just adding weight. But if we just moved these to the outside, it allowed us to have no tray at the top, which meant that all the other components could be lighter weight. It also meant that we could focus on internal mounting points, which means that the handle system itself is also user replaceable. So the telescopic handle, you can open the bag up, unscrew, and then basically remove that whole set, swap a new one on if there were something to go wrong with them. Because this is quite exposed, we love that like you can reach underneath and that button is actually on the underside there. Just from an interaction point of view, when you grab it, you're actually like always just pulling straight away in the direction that you want the handle to travel in.
So we did a lot of testing during development, especially like many cycles of the bag getting picked up and thrown around to work out what's the best handle assembly there.
Yeah, I think from like design's objective, what we really wanted to do was make sure that you actually touch the bag with like a soft goods experience. This is the most hard goods element that Bellroy's done, where the exterior is just, you know, all plastic surfaces and all quite rigid. We wanted to make sure that there was at least a link back that just showed, you know, what our strength is, which is really that soft goods. So it's a small thing, but it was really more difficult objective than we initially planned.
We're using Hinomoto wheels on the luggage, which we've had a look at a bunch of different wheels throughout the process, and they're just a really fantastic brand. They've been at it for a really long time.
They have different tiers within there, and we've chosen the Silent Run, and the Silent Run, it just has a different rubber compound that just has less noise. It doesn't kill the noise, but it reduces it, and the polymer is a little bit softer, so it just takes impact a bit better.
They're lightweight, they're really smooth running, and they're incredibly durable as well. I think the nice thing about the wheels, as per a lot of the components on the bag, is that they're completely replaceable. So if there is an issue, they can be swapped out by a customer.
So in one side, you know, we have this pretty standard full fold over zone. This is also the side that you lift over so you don't drop all your stuff out. The other side ends up being these two big pouches. So they're removable. You can chop and change. You can put the other one above or below. They stretch up and out to the full space, and they go the full depth of the bag so that you can fill all of this area up, but then have each thing segmented. When you untuck them, what's great is you can actually then just kind of like flip them out, even pack large things in this underside space that's kind of hidden out in that zone. You can also fully remove one. So say if I didn't even want to use the bottom one, or if I'm like, yeah, at destination, I wanted to put that in another bag, you then have this hanging pouch, which is at the top of your bag. So if you've got fragile things or other elements that you just want to keep up and protected when you're like lifting your bag up, you can even drop them in there and just know that they're actually going to be at the top of the pack and protected in that zone. Over on this side, if you have a look, that's actually got some of our other packing cubes and tech kits in there as well. Yeah, it depends how neat of a packer you are. When we were doing our research, we found people who were incredibly neat, like this layout here, and then there's other crew who slide the, the dresser table off just straight in there and just like squish that thing down and zip. And I think we've kind of accommodated for both. So this really came down to that innovation paradox, where adding a lot of innovation in actually just puts more risk that you actually make something that people don't understand or won't relate to. You could be introducing new features that actually fail over a longer time period because you haven't been able to test and try them. As this is our first run at it, what we actually wanted to do was try and make sure that we balanced the level of innovation with like the optimization and the strengths that we had as a brand. So a lot of that came to like the design, the shape of it, how you pack it, the layout of it, also just making sure that we managed our visual style with all of the engineering wins so it could kind of come together for something that looked distinctive, but those distinctive looks were all grounded in engineering solidness.
Cool. Yeah, it was done. Great.
It's a lot lighter than I expected.